Live from our studios here in Accra, this is Joy News Desk. This is also live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 125 and around the world on myjoyonline.com. Coming up this morning, majority in Parliament to consider summoning Parliament for an emergency sitting to consider key government business after Speaker of the House adjourned Parliament indefinitely after row over Anti-LGBTQ Bill.
An injunction motion on notice seeking to restrain the Speaker from proceeding with the vetting and approval of the names of the persons submitted by His Excellency the President.
Details of the government business on hold as the legislature and the executive go on a collision course. We have more from a chaotic end to the first meeting of the fourth session of the 8th Parliament. Also ahead this morning, the Ghana Education Service has instructed head teachers to keep schools open despite the industrial action by teachers. Now, Down syndrome not a curse, and the stereotype. United Nations stresses as the world celebrates Down Syndrome Day today. Details as the UN calls for equal rights for persons with disabilities. We have details of these and many other stories coming up shortly. My name is Kenneth Jesse. See you in a moment. Hello again. The Ghana Education Service has directed regional and district education directors to ensure head teachers keep schools open after 3 teacher unions declared an indefinite strike yesterday over their conditions of service. In a statement released by GES, the service urged parents not to panic, assuring them that management is working to resolve the situation. Here are details of that statement. Right, we'll be bringing you details of that statement in a bit. But prior to that statement by the Ghana Education Service, the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission also released its own statement disputing the accusation by the 3 teacher unions that there has been delay in negotiations of their conditions of service and collective agreement. The commission is expected to meet the unions and other stakeholders today. Here are excerpts of that statement released by the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. Right, we'll bring you more on that particular subject. But you're still watching Joy News Desk here on the Joy News channel. Let's quickly bring in the Public Relations Officer of the Ministry of Education, Kweku Kwatin. Kweku, good to have you on the show. I believe you've read excerpts of the statement released by the Fair Wages and then by the Ghana Education Service and by the striking unions. As a ministry, has this issue come to your attention, first of all?
All right. Good morning to you, my brother. I'm just surprised you've forgotten my name. My name is Kweku Kwatin. But anyway, yes, we have established contact with Fair Wages and Salaries Commission and even the teacher unions, for that matter, the striking teacher unions. And tentatively, we scheduled Friday to meet. It is true, apparently, Fair Wages has sent letters of invitation to the teacher unions, but according to them, the understanding is that it's on short notice. So hopefully by Friday, all stakeholders should be ready and have all discussions with the hope of resolving this impasse.
Right, and I want to find out from you if the ministry sides with the Ghana Education Services statement instructing district and regional education directorates to keep the schools open despite the teacher unions being on strike.
Yes, I mean the schools, even though we work together with the teachers, the schools obviously are independent institutions, and particularly when even times like this, a lot of them are within the boarding schools and will still be around. So certainly there have to be some demonstration of leadership and some management ultimately. It is for this reason that we've directed that, of course, through Ghana Education Service, that temporarily there should be some management structures and arrangement within the schools, even ahead of our meetings to find lasting resolution to the concerns that has been raised.
Right. So really, what is the way forward? Is the Is the Education Ministry going to be present at this particular meeting? And if you are, what is going to be the way forward?
Yes. We are all stakeholders, and the teacher unions largely are employees. And of course, the strike action affects us directly and our students. And so this time is more of a government affair. And so all parties, including Ministry of Finance, Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, Employment, Education, all of us are going to be present in that meeting. But of course, the sole aim is to be able to make sure that we are able to have a very fruitful discussion and get our teachers back to the classroom.
Right, Kwesi Kwatin is the Public Relations Officer of the Ministry of Education. Now, let's go to another interested party in this, and that is Isaac Barr, who's head of compensation at the Ghana National Association of Teachers. Isaac, welcome to the program. Now, Fair Wages and Salaries Commission says there's been no delay in the negotiations of the collective agreement, contrary to what your press release sought to suggest. Is that really the case?
And good morning to your viewers, and thanks for having me. Let me say that I'll be very surprised, very much surprised if Fair Wages tells everybody that they are unaware about this action. Because before we arrive at this decision, as of February 29th, we have served a written notice to our employer. We copied the National Labour Commission and Fair Wages as well. So I'll be much surprised if they tell you they are not aware.
And I want to find out from you, is it also the case that you reached an agreement with the government on 10 out of your 16 items that were submitted for negotiations during a meeting that was held on the 20th of January this year? That was also contained in the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission's press statement.
So those 10 items he's talking about, those were existing items already. They were just a procedural item. The most pressing ones are those that we haven't finished and have not touched. So those are existing ones already.
And are you going to honor the invitation to come to the negotiation table once again?
We just received the invitation. I received mine this morning. So leadership will meet and take a decision. And don't forget that we identified 5 items.
Okay.
The Fair Wages one is just one of them. There are 4 items that we have not heard anything about yet. So it is only one item Fair Wages is inviting us on.
And that is what item?
Come again, please.
What item is that?
So we said some of our teachers, as we speak, OSP has placed embargo on their salaries without following any lay-down procedures, without giving any reason. And as we speak, since January, they have not received their salaries. And they don't know why embargo has been placed on their salaries. There's another issue about distribution of laptops. Over 63,000 of our members who paid for the procurement of this laptop since 2021 have not received the laptop. Then we have this issue of our scheme of service. You remember very well when the current Director General of GES was appointed, we kicked against the appointment because he was brought from nowhere. Now, GES was established in 1974. As a big institution like GES, they don't have what we call scheme of service for each employee. So we need one. The case even went to the Labour Commission, and the instruction was for the GES to prepare a scheme of service for its workers. as we speak, it hasn't been done.
Okay. Right. I want to thank you very much for your time, but let's bring in another interest party, that is NAGRAT, and the vice president of that association, Jacob Anaba, joins me right now for a conversation. Jacob, grateful for your time this morning. The Fair Wages and Salaries Commission said it extended an invitation to you on Tuesday for a meeting scheduled for today to discuss your negotiations, of which there was not any indication from your union that you wouldn't honor such an invitation. So why did you go ahead to strike?
Yeah, thank you, and greetings to your cherished listeners and viewers. Unfortunately, I did not receive that invitation. My boss did, but he indicated that he received the invitation late that evening through social media communication. And already we had started our to declare the strike. We have written to our employer through the Director General. We are written to the National Labour Commission and copied the Fair Wages and Salary Commission. So already this was in motion to call the strike the next day. And that is what happened.
Right. Now, the Salaries Commission says it sees your industrial action as a show of bad faith. Is that really the case? Because there were series of negotiations that were ongoing. So they do not understand why you would go behind them and embark on an industrial action.
In fact, it is the Fair Wages and Salary Commission that has really shown bad faith. The point being that since August 2023, our collective agreement document had expired. And we indicated to our employer that we needed to renegotiate. They agreed. We started the meeting till December, where Fair Wages indicated that they had a very important assignment, and therefore we couldn't conclude in December. So we extended it to January. We held a meeting in Koforidua from the 19th to 21st of January. And they did not come with a mandate because we had proposed 5 new allowances that should be included in the new collective agreement. And they said that no, they had the mandate for only one, which is an existing allowance. That is a continuous professional development allowance. They were ready to increase that. And we said no, the 4 new ones needed to be part of it. And there was a stalemate. We did not continue. So we gave them up to the end of February to have this thing concluded. And they never called us to a meeting. And we wrote to them 29th of February, indicating that if we don't hear anything, they should not blame us for any action that will emanate from that. And that is what happened yesterday.
Right.
So they should be blamed.
I spoke to NAT a while ago. They say they will deliberate on whether to attend that meeting or not. How about NAGRAT?
Definitely, we are in together. So we are meeting today. We will meet and then see the way forward. We've seen a letter from the GES. We will consider all those ones and then see the way forward. So we are having a meeting amongst ourselves, and we'll take the decision from there.
Right. Jacob Anaba is the vice president of the National Association of Graduate Teachers. I want to thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Well, this morning, after an abrupt and chaotic indefinite adjournment of Parliament, the majority side say they are seriously considering summoning Parliament for an emergency sitting of Parliament to consider some key government business, tax waivers, loans and ministerial nominees, or government businesses where the biggest casualties as the roll over the Anti-LGBTQ Bill led Speaker Afenyo-Markin to adjourn the House without even considering these. It will be recorded that the President rejected attempts by Parliament to serve President Akufo-Addo with copies of the Anti-LGBTQ Bill for his assent. The presidency said this was because of actions pending before the Supreme Court. Well, following the lead of President, Speaker of Parliament Afenyo-Markin has decided that Parliament will also not consider President Akufo-Addo's ministerial nominees because of an injunction application filed by an MP.
In the light of this process, the House is unable to continue the nomination of His Excellency the President to use the language of the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, quote, in the spirit of upholding the rule of law, unquote, until after the determination of the application for interlocutory injunction by the Supreme Court. Honorable members, this is the precedent that is being set by His Excellency the President for all Ghanaians to follow. So any matter that comes before Parliament, any Ghanaian can issue a writ and follow it with an application for injunction. And that is enough to injunct Parliament from proceeding with the consideration of the business in the House.
All right, let's have a conversation on the back of that. And joining me in the studio is our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, Kweku Asante. Kweku, good to have you on the show. Apart from the, ministerial nominees, were there other issues that, happened there?
Yes, very key government business. In fact, for the last few weeks, the Minister for Trade and Industry, K.T. Hammond, has been chasing billions in tax waiver requests.
Right.
This government says it's going to show up governments in terms of the ability to create new factories under the one district, one factory. They've promised some companies some tax waivers so that these companies can set up and then employ more people. These have been pending for so long. The expectation was that yesterday there was going to be some breakthrough and those were going to be taken before the House adjourned signed that, because currently the House has no date of resumption. It could be somewhere in May, and this government business will have to be on hold. So that is also key. There was a number of papers that government has to lay so that when they come back in the next meeting, they can get some grounding and some basis to act on these. All these papers were not laid because right after the Speaker made that determination of the sound that he played, he just banged the gavel and adjourned the House, signed that. There were bills. There are so many bills that the House is running out of time to consider. The way Parliament works, if the House is unable to consider these bills before the expiration of the 8th Parliament, then they have to start the process all over again in 2025. And so that also did not happen yesterday. And then there's an outstanding $150 million loan facility.
Yes.
The government is hoping is going to show up the strength of the cedi. The cedi is currently performing abysmally against the dollar.
Right.
And so if the World Bank facility that came in, it would have shown the cedi's strength a little bit. And that has also not come in because the Speaker of Parliament adjourned proceedings. So all these key government business that the majority leadership would have wished they would have been able to deal with before the House would have proceeded on break for Easter have all now been left hanging.
We saw the House being brought to an abrupt end by the Speaker yesterday. But what were the reaction from both the majority and minority to this?
Well, as you would imagine, it has taken a political twist. The minority clearly backing the Speaker they elected. They said that the President's conduct by refusing to even accept the Anti-LGBTQ Bill is an affront to the authority of Parliament, and that the Speaker of Parliament, in doing this, is stamping his authority. But as you'd also imagine, the majority side says the Speaker acted arbitrarily and is just not acting in the good interest of the Republic.
And we know that it was Roxanne Nelson Afenyo-Markin who has sent one of the issues to court. But I want us to listen to what transpired in Parliament.
Of Ghana spells out in plain language when the President of the Republic of Ghana must do when Parliament passes a bill and present to His Excellency the President. The President must assent to the bill or must refuse to assent to the bill when it is presented to him as the President of the Republic. These are the only options, and in this case, there is no middle ground at all per the constitutional imperative. Ladies and gentlemen, let me also say that in the instance case of the Human Sexual Right and Family Values Bill 2024, President Akufo-Addo has taken a strange and alien position, which is unknown to the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. Given that Parliament has been injuncted in a matter of the president's nominee for the position of ministers and deputy ministers. It is obvious that this honorable House is also unable and cannot approve those ministerial nominees His Excellency the President has also presented to Parliament. At this point, the President may have to be innovative, dynamic, and think out of the box by downsizing the size of his government. Let me say that merely piling on numbers by way of appointing ministers and deputy ministers does not signal to the people of Ghana that the President understands the seriousness of the mess that he and his government has created in our country.
Mr. Speaker said that Mr. President was undermining democracy and that he should have resorted to the Constitution in making certain communications to the House. We in the majority beg to disagree on the position taken by him. If you carefully read the letter that was sent to Parliament, Mr. President limited himself to the processes before the courts. And the fact that Parliament itself, through an affidavit, adjourned issues. Parliament has filed an affidavit in opposition and it's in court. In fact, Parliament is a party to the suit. So for us, we do not see how this would have to affect the proceedings of Parliament. In any event, Mr. Speaker has always deferred to the leadership of the House to guide him in the conduct of business. This morning, the leadership of the House sat together to discuss the various items to be taken. We have finished some of them. There were some that we were supposed to take, and we're told that Mr. Speaker would have to take the chair. It's very disappointing that after Mr. Speaker had made known his own views about the letter sent from the presidency to the clerk, he adjourned the House Senate without giving room for the leadership of the House to even comment.
Right, so you heard both the minority and majority reacting to that particular incident that happened yesterday. But, Kweku, do we know the strategy of government on this issue going forward? Well,
we understand that the majority leadership are seriously considering bringing some resolutions to get the House to sit by way of an emergency. If you look at the standing orders, it allows for 15% of MPs. That would translate to about 40 MPs signing on to a petition, and the Speaker of Parliament would have to comply and then get the House to sit. Next week is Easter, and we expect that right after Easter, the NPP MPs are going to get that to the Speaker of Parliament and would have to comply and get the House to sit. Because according to the NPP MPs, government business is going to struggle if these urgent issues are not dealt with, particularly the ministers are not approved. Right,
Kweku Asante is our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent. Thank you very much. It's not always that we have him in the studio. You're still watching the Joy News desk on the Joy News channel with me, Kenneth Jesse. Let's bring you more stories this morning. And you can also follow us on DSTV channel 421, live on GoTV channel 125 as well. The news is around the world on myjoyonline.com. If you just joined us, this is Joy News desk on the Joy News channel. My name is Kenneth Jesse. We just spoke to our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, Kweku Asante, who was giving us details of the issues that transpired in Parliament that led to the Speaker of the House, Alban Bagbin, bringing the House to an abrupt end. Let's bring you more stories this morning, because in a prime area nestled between Accra's iconic landmarks, Independence Square, and the burial place of former President John Evans, Atam Mills, Asomdwe Park, a distressing reality has emerged. This area, situated on the road leading to the former seat of government, the Christiansborg Castle, has transformed into a dumping ground and a hub for open defecation. Today in our series dubbed Filth Exhibition, Maxwell Agbagba brings us a report on this alarming situation.
The Independence Square and the Independence Arch a reminder of Ghana's the colonial masters. Right beside it is the piece of land which also serves as a reminder to some unpatriotic citizens of their freedom. Freedom to openly defecate and dump their garbage. The authorities have found the perfect spot for sit-down protest against waste management. Or perhaps it is the city authorities' way of saying, Happy Independence Day, enjoy the sights and smell. Right here, we confronted a man who had just finished defecating on this hallowed ground.
So why were you defecating?
Through the defecating is that low land, they've been shitting there for a long time. And it was like Bola, the rubbish dam. Some people are shitting in this water. But me, I know that some are using it to wash. I will not do that.
Why were you defecating?
Defecating here, if you are defecating here, those who are living around here, they will not call it to be a crime because it's a low land. Very soon, you will see people who bring this in. It was even deep down. Because of the rubbish dam, you see that it is filling.
Do you think it's bad, especially because this place is very close to the Independence Square, and just right behind the walls of the Independence Square, you are defecating? You don't think it's wrong?
I know that it's wrong, but here like this, it's very, very wrong. I know that here it's not. Here, no, it's not right. But the way it was bush, if you are here, no one will call it to be a crime. That's why we are shitting. So that's why we are defecating here. But if you see a person shitting here, you will know that that person is not normal.
For citizens who come here, it is to celebrate our nation's freedom. But what about our freedom from this mess? Perhaps city authorities want to give tourists and patrons a 360 independence celebration. After watching the display and exhibition of our culture and all that we stand for at the Black Star Square, you can come here for a part 2. This time, a filth exhibition. Chaka Winfred Annan is a resident.
Immediately when they removed the presidency from the Usu Castle to the Jubilee House, that is fine. Immediately they could have brought the national security people to the Usu Castle, so that they can keep this place clean. But now, see, if you see the rubbish and where the people go to toilet here, it's very bad. There's nothing going on here. They said nobody should come to the beach, and people are going to private all over. If you turn and look at where the rubbish are, you see everything. So for me, it's terrible. Where the Independence Square is and where they go to private, I mean, it's not good. And so they're supposed to do something about it. And so if you look at the Asomdwe Park, where the people are going to the private, my man, the big others should do something about it.
Let's celebrate independence in every sense of the word, from freedom to cleanliness. Join us in our mission to turn this filth exhibition into a showcase of cleanliness and pride. Maxwell Agbagba for Joy News.
Well, for that report. Now, each year, approximately 3,000 to 5,000 children are born with this chromosome disorder, resulting in different health disabilities. And Down syndrome is one of them. According to the United Nations, quality of life of people with Down syndrome can be improved by meeting their healthcare needs, including regular checkups with health professionals. Let's have a conversation on the back of this. And as we celebrate World Down Syndrome Day, we have Priscilla Afute, who is a speech and language therapist. Priscilla, I believe you can hear me. Welcome to the program. What is this year's theme, and what exactly is the UN and caregivers like you trying to achieve?
So for this year's theme by the UN, it says end the stereotype. And we know that the stereotype is a set of ideas that people have, usually from personal experience or what someone has said. It may be positive, it may be negative, it may be neutral, but most of the time they are incorrect and simply wrong.
Right. We're speaking about Down syndrome disorder. What really causes this kind of condition?
So the Down syndrome disorder basically it happens when there's abnormal division in the cells of the 21st chromosome. So there are types of Down syndrome, and these types are the main causes of they spell out the main causes of Down syndrome.
Right.
So we have the trisomy 21, which is an extra chromosome in the 21st chromosome. So instead of getting two pieces, you get 3 pieces of the 21st chromosome. We have the translocation, which simply happens when some part or a whole part of the 21st chromosome is moved and then attached to the 14th chromosome. We also have the mosaic Down syndrome, which simply means that in some parts of the cell, we can find 3 chromosomes, in other parts, 3 chromosomes, 3 21st chromosomes, and then in other parts, you can find the normal two pieces.
Okay. You have been engaging and giving healthcare to countless children and adults who have this condition. What do you think has changed over this period in terms of they seeking for therapy?
I can say for now, a lot of people have tried, a lot of parents have tried to take the initiative to undergo therapy, to let their kids undergo therapy because they don't understand the effectiveness of therapy, and then they know that there are some people who understand them and who are willing to help them with their challenges.
And what are some of these challenges that you face in providing therapy to those affected?
And so usually there is no consistency in delivering therapy, which proves the progress of the child. And usually it happens because of financial needs. So the parents are not able to afford the expensive therapy because one person has to do OT, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and sometimes ABA. So one child alone is going through 3 therapies within a week. And for the effectiveness, you need more time. And often, most parents are not able to afford this. So you realize that when they see the kids are getting better, they take a break.
Okay.
And then when the kids regress, they come back on. And also, some caregivers face discrimination. There are some people who think that just by providing services or taking care of these kids, you end up giving birth to a child like that, which a lot of people try to run away from when things like this happen.
Right, and are there national concerns that needs to be addressed, you think?
Yes, I think the government can help by situating service providers such as speech therapists, occupational therapists, behavioral analysis to various district and regional hospitals in Ghana. And if possible, it's going to subsidize the cost to make parents more appreciative of the kind of services we are providing. Because if the cost is subsidized, if you take a therapy for at least 200 CDs and then now it goes for 50 CDs, I'm sure they'll be willing to take more.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Priscilla, I want to thank you very much for your time this morning. Well, let's talk politics today because flag bearer of the governing New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has made a strong case about his credentials, insisting he's the best vice president Ghana has ever had. According to Dr. Bawumia, he's a problem solver, a reason he has always been intentional about his policies and vision for the country.
So I looked at all these problems. I'm a problem solver, and I have introduced solutions. We have not yet done it all, but we are starting. If you are looking for a problem solver to be president of the Republic, then I am the one that you should look at. I have a very solid track record in terms of what I've done as vice president. Remember, I've not yet been president. I don't have that authority, but I am vice president. And if you look at my track record as vice president, most people say that I am probably the best vice president in this country's history because of my track record. So I believe that I have not been, if you give me, because I try to do things because my mindset is one of possibilities. I am never afraid to take on new and daunting challenges. If I see that a country has this, I ask, why can't Ghana also have that?
Right, so that is Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. In a related development, the Ghana Bar Association has strongly opposed the continuous issuance of law faculty licenses to additional tertiary institutions in the country by the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission. The association argues that this practice not only saturates the legal education system with substandard graduates, but also affects students' ability to secure law firms for their advantage due to the large number of graduates each year. Yao Echampon Boafo is the president of the Ghana Bar Association, and he raised these concerns during a stakeholder meeting with the MPP flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, as part of his bold solutions for the future engagements.
And it's caused, unfortunately, by tech thinking that it has a law. So maybe another thing that we can look at law reformers, when it comes to study of, say, law, architecture, engineering, where there's a professional, the professional bodies must be part of the accreditation institutions. I am part of the General Legal Council's inspection committee. His Excellency, when we go around and we see some of these faculties, the truth of the matter, they are pretending to be teaching law. Because what we always ask ourselves is, when we were young, without the troubles of we were full-time students, we managed to pass. Today, people in full-time work weekend.
Right, so in response to these concerns, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia stated that his government is committed to addressing these challenges and improving the digitalization of the justice delivery system.
In terms of network and automation and connectivity, that you are only as strong as your weakest link, you know, and so if you don't have some of these courts like Tamale and so on, part of the system, then you will have bottlenecks. And I know that you have looked into it. Would like to see, I don't know how much it would cost, but I think it is very doable. It is very, very doable, and it's an objective. I think we should set that objective and get it done. I think it will really change the system. Yes, legal education is one that is very, you know, talked about out there. And from your point of view, what should government be trying to do? There is sometimes a sense that there is a restriction on lawyers that are being educated, and we need more lawyers. But I also understand that it's nothing as dangerous as a badly trained lawyer. And so there's got to be some balance. But I don't know, from your point of view, just thinking on your brains on this issue, how should we be approaching the issue of legal education?
Get talking, and Professor Ahmed Jinapo is the Director General of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission. He's joined me for more on this. Welcome to the program. You've heard the concerns of the Ghana Bar Association. So what do you consider before granting licenses to additional tertiary institutions?
So first of all, let me indicate that when it comes to the accreditation architecture, GTEC as a body by law is mandated to issue accreditation for programs that are academic oriented.
Okay.
Academic oriented. And by academic oriented, what we are interested in is we are looking at the curriculum, we are looking at the physical infrastructure, and we are looking at the human resource as well as the materials that comes into play for that program to be delivered. That's it. When it comes to professional programs, law is a professional program that needs to be stated. GTEC works in collaboration with entities such as the General Legal Council. In fact, the General Legal Council collaboration with GTEC is one that is always referenced when it comes to how we work with other entities that are within the professional architecture. And we say this because it's been very, very successful how we've worked with them. So GTEC has never and do not issue licenses in isolation to institutions that intends to offer law. And I can give you a quick example. We have a joint accreditation committee between the General Legal Council and GTEC with His Lordship Justice Bafuboni, who is the chairman of that committee. Dr. Chris Adumako Kwache, a lawyer, a member of that committee. Justice Charles Jemfi Dankwa, a member of that committee. Professor Omanientri, representing GTEC, a member of that committee. And Professor Kofi Awosabo Asare, representing GTEC, a member of that committee. So if you look at the composition, we're looking at 3-2. And this committee has worked together for all this while and continue to work together. So we find it a little bit disappointing that the General Legal, the Ghana Bar Association will accuse GTEC of issuing licenses. That's it. I must say that the Commission in recent times has set up a policy advisory committee that is supposed to ensure that all programs that are being introduced by all tertiary institutions in this country, new as they may be, must come before the committee for approval to be given. And this is aimed at best, stopping this oversaturation of the market when it comes to this new program. So I don't know where the accusation is coming from.
Right, Professor Ahmed Jinapo, I want to thank you very much for your time this morning. He's with GTEC. You're still watching Joy News Desk. We take a quick break. We'll be back with the latest in business.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darrell Kwao. Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, has challenged the Ghana International Bank to play a critical role in transforming trade in Africa. The governor, who is also the board chairman of the Ghana International Bank, was speaking at the launch of the bank's 65th anniversary celebration in Accra. Dr. Addison said the bank has already supported many business transactions on the continent, including more than $8 billion of trade facilitation in 2023.
International Bank has been established 65 years ago to support international trade financing between Ghana and other African countries and their European partners. According to the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, the bank has been able to facilitate trade amounting to about $8 billion for the Ghana Cocoa Board and other state agencies in the year 2023. He therefore charged the bank to play a key role in transforming trade on the continent. He was speaking at the 65th anniversary launch of the bank in Accra.
Celebrating the 65th anniversary of GHB is a landmark event and serves as a major milestone in the history of Ghanaian banking. And I'm pleased to share this moment of reflection. As chairman of the board and the governor of the majority shareholder of this venerable institution, I am pleased with the status of the bank and excited about its prospects. It is my sincere hope, as we continue to navigate through the challenges and complexities of global financial markets, GHIB will continue to play a critical role in the transformation of trade in Africa and rise to greater heights in the coming years.
Chief Executive for the Ghana International Bank, Dean Adansi, has been speaking with journalists about the impacts the bank has created on many economies in Africa.
5 years, after 65 years of being in London, the next 65 years, we believe GHIB is poised to become much bigger and to achieve more scale and to be more consequential in trade finance across sub-Saharan Africa. So I think when people think about GHIB in the future, I'd like them to think about GHIB as a major provider of trade finance, as a major correspondent bank, and as a bank that's having an impact on the lives of people across our markets.
The bank continues to serve many African governments with trade financing between their partners.
Now, Ghana faces the risk of delay in achieving a green economy if it continues to engage in practices that deplete the environment. This is according to findings from the Ghana Statistical Service as it develops a robust natural capital accounting system. Dr. Bernice Ofosu-Bedu, Head of Agriculture and Environment Statistics at the Ghana Statistical Service, has been speaking to Joy Business at a stakeholder engagement in Accra.
Natural capital accounting is a set of objective data and reporting system on elements in the natural ecosystem, such as fisheries, forest, water regulation services supplied in wetlands, and more. The formulation of a robust system is expected to boost Ghana's current natural capital accounting system and further assess the impact of major natural capital threats, such as land and habitat degradation, as well as illegal mining on the country's economy. Speaking to Joy Business, Dr. Bernice Ofosu-Bedu, Head of Agriculture and Environment Statistics at the Ghana Statistical Service, explained that the initiative will ensure a sustainable economy in the medium to long term.
We have a lot of these natural resources in Ghana. So for the natural capital accounting, it's like adding an account or accounting for the natural capital that we have been using. Whilst you are producing, you have to produce to make your environment sustainable. You don't produce and have a degradation of your land. You don't have to produce to have a depletion of your natural resources, so that when the future, there will be nothing for the future generation. So we are all doing this so that it can inform policies, so that if you know that there's a lot of depletion, then policies can come on board to reduce the level of depletion for our future generation.
She details the impact of some activities in the land accounting ecosystem.
For the land accounting that we have compiled, though it's not finalized, but we've realized that there are some net changes. If you look at the net changes, some are negative with respect to the ecosystem.
On her part, AC Boda-Kwesing, Director at the Fisheries Commission, details the benefits to the fisheries and aquaculture sector.
Once we know how much we have, then we know our contribution towards the economy, and then how much will also go and benefit the operators. Are they also doing well? Because once we know we are doing well, then we know they will also do well. But like he said, if they are decreasing, you go and you don't get it, and that goes against you. You don't have return on investment. So it's important that we know what we have and value, and then we know that our operators are safe and the economy is also safe.
The Natural Capital Accounting for Sustainability project is spearheaded by the Ghana Statistical Service with support from the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation and the United Nations Environment Programme, World Conservation Monitoring Center.
That's it for this segment. The news returns after the break.